Welcome back to the Rumble, y'all. This is episode like 6 or something. And for some of y'all, that don't sound right because it's been like a month. But that's because you don't have me on notifications on Twitter. Yes, I have been releasing the last couple episodes like an OnlyFans subscription, and you had to sign up. I mean, it was free, but you had to like just be there on Twitter, and they never went public. But that's changing. I think I'm just going to publicize these from now on. I'm sorry, Insomniacs. I know we had like this exclusive club, and I love y'all for that. But I'm deciding to just release it. Also, no green screen behind me because there was a tear in it. Don't know where the tear came from, but until I can order a new one, it's just me and the Space Jam poster that fell off the wall a few months ago. As I'm recording this, Game 7 of Utah versus Denver just literally wrapped up. Like I turned off the projector and turned on the camera. Like it hasn't been any post-game interviews or anything, but I'm very interested to see what the post-game interviews say. But Game 7, this series was, I tweeted it, this was one of the best first-round series I have ever seen with my own two eyes. Of course, I'm going to bring in the Bulls versus Boston Celtics with young Derrick Rose. That's one of them. We have like, I don't even know. We believe Warriors, but even then it wasn't like a super crazy series. I mean like a game, a series that went like games. Ooh, Chris Paul versus the Spurs, where he hit the one-legged game winner when he messed up his hamstring. There have been great first-round series, don't get me wrong, but this one's up there. When you think about all the dynamic duels that we got. I mean, we had games where Donovan Mitchell dropped 50 multiple times in this series. We've had games where Jamal Murray dropped 50 multiple times in this series. All of that high-intensity offense we saw in games 1 through 6 was gone for Game 7, whether it be nerves or a lot of the times it like people didn't have their legs. Jamal Murray got like kneed in the quad and he was just like hobbling the whole game. So it was hobbling, and I forgot who was on the call. They asked the other guy. I think Mark Jackson was the guy that got asked. He was like, is Jamal Murray moving a little differently to you? And Mark Jackson's like, he looked the same to me. All while this man is literally limping up the court with the ball in his hands. I'm like, what game are you watching? Either way, Game 7 wasn't a pretty one whatsoever, but that last half, man, the Jazz made it interesting. I was like, bro, what are the chances that they just don't show up at Game 7? That's what it was looking like for the first half. And then Donovan Mitchell comes out in the third quarter, has an amazing third quarter. And Rudy Gobert, bro, I have been talking a lot of trash with Rudy Gobert. And I can do that because for one time, I was the president of the Rudy Gobert fan club. So I could talk trash when he was bad. And for some of the series, he was bad. But in this game, he was very good, specifically in the third and fourth quarter. So shout out to him. The last possession was a wild one, and so many things could have went wrong in that last possession. So Donovan Mitchell did not have a great Game 7. It's unfortunate for him. As good as he had been in this entire series, Game 7 hit him, and he was a turnover magnet. Just bad decision after bad decision. Of course, he hit shots because it's Donovan Mitchell. I just talked about in the early third quarter, he was on fire. But other than that, like the rest of the game wasn't amazing from him. And it's unfortunate because he had put so much into the series. But we all knew somebody has to lose. Neither of these teams, both of these teams can't go on. So somebody had to lose. And regardless who lost, the other guy, whether it be Donovan Mitchell or Jamal Murray, had to go home. Right? So the last possession, he gets the ball. He's guarded by Gary Harris, and Gary Harris, since he only played the last 2 games, when he touched down on the court for the first time ever in Game 6, I didn't even recognize the man. He had the twist in his head, and I'm like, who is that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, anyway, so you know he's a great defender, perimeter defender. He pokes the ball loose to Donovan Mitchell. Boom, turnover. Denver just got to hold the ball, dribble it out. It's like 8, 9, 10 seconds left. Torrey Craig almost sold the whole series by bricking a layup, giving the Utah Jazz 5 seconds to get the ball up the court and get a shot, and that shot was this close, y'all. Oh, that shot was this close. In and out for Mike Conley. Donovan Mitchell is wide open on the other way, but you got to think about the circumstances. Imagine he tries to make that pass and the time runs out. Like in the split second, the best decision was to take the shot, even though he had been bad this entire game, and it was this close to going in. Boom, Donovan Mitchell falls to the ground, and Jamal Murray comes over to help him up and give him a hug and everything. One of the best series I've seen, and I guarantee you this is not the last time we see these two duel in their careers, because they're very similar players, and like, man, they can be super, super hot at times. They're very similar, and their teams they're going to be in the playoffs for the near future, so we're definitely going to see these two match up here and there. I'm just super happy with the outcome. Not like the winner, but just the fact that we got a good series. But that brings me to one of my ramble topics, which is like predictions, right? Part of my job as a guy that talks basketball for a living is giving predictions. And maybe I've already talked about this on a ramble, but it is something that's still coming to me to this day, and it bothers me, right? I have to make a prediction on a series. It sucks. I don't like making predictions, but it's part of my job, right? And there are fans out there that believe that since I picked Denver in 7, which I did before the series started, so small W, that they think that I'm sitting at home like, let's go Jamal, let's go Jokic, let's go Paul Millsap. When in reality, that's just not the way it works. I am impartial. Like I will give you my prediction for the series. I'll tell you why, but I'm not here rooting for that prediction because again, my team is not involved in it. So if Utah Jazz would have came out and swept the series, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I just, at the end of the day, I don't care if my prediction is right or wrong. I just want to see good basketball. But there are people in this world that think that because you made a prediction, that is what you want to see happen. And it's just not the way it works. If you really want to know what I want to see happen, the Bulls make the goddamn playoffs for the first time in a long time. That's what I want to see happen. Other than that, I don't care about the outcome of these games. I just want them to be good games. So like, there have been times where I've made predictions throughout the course of like my video making career or whatever, and people will bring it up like, Kenny, where's this energy? I'm like, the energy is not me saying that the other team doesn't have a chance, right? So I'm trying to think of a prediction I made recently that was wrong, which I mean, I just shooting 100% right now. Every single thing I said. Okay, so let's say I had picked OKC in 7 before the series start. If Houston comes out and destroys OKC, I am guaranteed to have at least one person from the Houston Rockets fan base clip me saying OKC is 7 and tweeting it at me. It's just like when I'm making the prediction, I'm giving an educated guess, and I'll give you reasons, right? The reason I picked OKC is this, but that's not saying that Houston can't do this. You know what I'm saying? It just sucks. And then also, since we're talking about fans, bro, stan culture is the weirdest thing in the world to me. The absolute weirdest thing in the world, especially in the sports world. I don't really get to like the music stuff. I know music is crazy, and I don't even want to talk about a whole community, but music can get crazy with the stan culture for sure. But when it comes to sports, stan culture is so weird, and nobody has ever been able to really explain it to me. Like I have guys that I love as players. Like as I'm sitting right here on my table is about 50 Chris Paul basketball. You know what? I'll show you. So here are a few what I'm talking about. I have a signed Chris Paul here from, it's not his rookie year, but one of his years is 1 out of 25. I have another from 2005, which is cool. It's like a patch and got a signature. So the point I'm trying to make is that I have players that I love, absolutely love. Chris Paul is my favorite player, point guard of all time, whatever you want to say. Again, excluding Derrick Rose. But I don't stand Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul is my favorite guy ever. But when he's wrong and he's bad, I can talk about that. Stan culture is so weird because I'm bringing it back to like Marcus Morris and that one play on Luka Doncic that got him ejected, right? I tweeted, I've had enough of Marcus Morris. At the end of the day, I don't want dirty players. I can understand you being a tough guy and being gritty and everything, but dirty is just a whole nother level that I can't get behind no matter what. If he was on my team, I'd say the same thing. But there is a Marcus Morris season page, and maybe you're watching this video, and this is directly to you and everybody else, that couldn't open his eyes enough to see that Marcus Morris was in the wrong. And that's what stan culture is to me. Another thing, Russell Westbrook had that terrible turnover and air ball in Game 6 that at the end of the day cost them the game. It didn't cost them. I mean, he wasn't the sole reason they lost the game, but those two very, very critical possessions are one of the reasons they lost the game. And when you tweet something like that, you get all of the Westbrook stands coming at you. And if you can't see that air ball is a terrible shot or that turnover is a terrible turnover, you are so lost in fandom that I don't even want to talk to you. I don't. You can be a fan of a team / player and be what's the word I'm looking for? Impartial? I feel like I've used that word like 3 times in this ramble already. But you can do that and still understand what the heck is going on. It's just so weird to me. And all of y'all that got the player season, what's up? What's up with y'all? Anyway, you would never see me have an account that says Chris Paul season or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander season or Zach LaVine season. I'm just going to be Kenny Beecham. Okay, and I got completely off course, but that's all I really want to say about that series. I'm excited to see the Denver Nuggets match up against the Clippers, even though the Clippers will probably dominate them because other than Game 7, they haven't really been a good defensive team. But shout out to them from coming back from down 3-1. That is very good. Not many people are really talking about that so far, that Utah was up 3-1 and blew this series either way. Wow, was that Mike Conley's fault? No, it's not Mike Conley's fault. Shout out to Mike Conley. I love you, Mike Conley. Next series or games I want to talk about is this Raptors-Celtics series. It is already 2-0 in the Celtics' favor. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because even though I've watched these two games, I still don't have that many takeaways from it, right? I do think that the average NBA fan has very underestimated this Boston Celtics team because they're a team that, I mean, they go under the radar. And one of the things that I liked about them going into the bubble in the playoffs is that they have a history, especially this season, where like when it's an ugly, nasty old game like it was in game 2, they find ways to come out with those victories. And those are the type of teams that are successful in the playoffs long term. They come out in these nasty games where nobody's hitting, when you have 1,000 turnovers and something happens where they end up with the win. What happened in game 2 is Marcus Morris turned into Steph Curry, right? You can't count on that for every single game, but somehow somebody steps up or something happens that gets this team to win a game, which is good for them. Up 2-0. But I've also seen them be up 2-0 in a series before and blow it. I mean, it's a different team from them, but it definitely happens. And I've also seen the Toronto Raptors be down 2-0 and turn it up. So again, it's the same team minus a couple pieces here and there. But and again, even though it is 2-0, this series is very, very far from over. But there are some things that need to happen on the Toronto Raptors side of the ball that is very, very important if they want to make any noise. And I'm pointing at Pascal Siakam for this one. He has taken the step of stardom, at least all stardom, and they need him to play as such. You know, Kyle Lowry can only be so good, and even he hasn't been amazing so far, or Fred VanVleet hasn't been amazing. And they need Pascal Siakam to look like the all-star player that he is. And so far in the series, he just hasn't. And I saw a tweet that was like, why does Pascal Siakam turn into Jeff Green when he's guarded by good players? And I don't know. Again, Pascal Siakam is still very, very young in his NBA or basketball playing career. I know he's an older young guy. I think he's like 25, maybe 26, but he still just picked up a basketball like less than a decade ago, and he just hit the NBA like 4 years ago. So he's still very young in his career, but for a team that's trying to compete again, you need him to step up. And if he doesn't, then shoot, you could call this series what it is, and it's over with. I do love me some Jaylen Brown. I've mentioned this plenty of times on the course of my channel and my podcast and in these rambles. Jaylen Brown is one of my favorite players to watch. I would invest a lot in his sports cards, but they are already hella expensive, and I can't get behind that. I'm late to the party. Like I'm very late to the party, and I'd rather just not give up that buck, even though I do feel like he's going to get better and his cards will get higher. That's a whole nother video of me talking about the sports card market, because though I'm still learning, I know a lot, man. The guy that does my tattoo artist, shout out to David. I had like an 8-hour session, 6-hour session a couple weeks ago. And throughout a lot of that, we kind of talked about sports cards, and it was actually very cool to talk about it with somebody that actually knows the heck he's talking about, and I learned a lot from him in that little session we had. Either way, series is far from over, and I don't know what the Nick Nurse adjustments is, right? So when they were down 0-2 to the Milwaukee Bucks, the adjustments simple to me. To you, put Kawhi Leonard on Giannis. It worked. I don't know what the changes Nick Nurse does in this series, like from his standpoint, that make things better. And maybe I'm not watching close enough. Maybe it is something like blatantly obvious like it was last year. But I don't see it right now. I don't see it. And if anybody's going to figure it out, it's going to be him. But then on the other side of it, Brad Stevens is still one of the greatest in the league right now as coaching goes. So these teams are so heavily matched up, so greatly matched up. I mean, even though it's a 2-0 series Boston's way, both games have been very, very close. That's not true. Game 1 was a blowout. No, Game 1 was a blowout. Like a big time blowout. What am I talking about? What game am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about Game 1 of Miami versus Bucks. They kind of blending together with Eastern Conference teams. And I'll briefly talk about this one. Need more from Giannis at the end of the day. I need Chris Middleton not to be good for just one half. I need Coach Bud. And this is what I'm seeing if I want to see the Bucks come out the series, which again, doesn't matter who comes out the series for me. I need Coach Bud to be better with his rotations. Why the heck is Pat Connaughton playing more than Wesley Matthews? Why is Brook Lopez not in the game when he's like the best player on the court for you for a lot of the first 3 quarters? And why did Frank Mason get a minute? I know it was only a minute, but like, why is Frank Mason even getting any time? Even with Eric Bledsoe's injury, Frank Mason shouldn't be on the floor. Cal Korver, as great as he is as a shooter throughout the course of his career, I can't rely on him on the defensive side of the ball, so I wouldn't even want him on the court, to be honest with you. Stuff like that. And then on the other side, Miami was just working. It was just working. Miami one of the reasons why many people pick the Miami Heat to win the series is because they excel at the 3-point shot and the Bucks give up a lot of threes. That's just the way they play their defense. Well, the Miami Heat lost a 3-point competition this game and still won the game. That's some scary stuff. That is some scary stuff because eventually those 3-point shots will fall. And then what does Milwaukee do at that point if they already had lost? It's a good matchup for the Bucks, man. Like one of the, I guess, worst matchups for their sake because Miami has all of the pieces to stop a guy like Giannis. He had 1 field goal completed in the fourth quarter, and that is unacceptable for my MVP caliber player. I'm sorry. I mean, he's at the place now, and I said this on my podcast, but I know everybody that's watching this doesn't get to the pod. You should, though. Giannis is a player that throughout the course of his career, since he's hit this like superstardom, we kind of steered away from criticizing him because he's still so young. He's like 25, but 2-time MVP at this point. It's time for us to be able to criticize him, man. And some of the comments he made after the game just really was weird to me. Like, you're defensive player of the year, and to be kind of confused on why the reporter asked why weren't you guarding Jimmy Butler when he was the hottest man on the court by far. It's very confusing to me, especially when you have the ability to guard guards and wing players. And I understand you want to listen to your coach, but if neither you or your coach are looking at the defensive player of the year like, okay, let's put him on the guy that has scored like 15 straight points on us, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know what the heck y'all doing. You know, and him only having 1 field goal made throughout the course of the fourth quarter is kind of reminiscent of some stuff that happened last year against the Raptors, where they just walled up. You can score, but it's gonna have to be outside that paint. And Milwaukee did an amazing job with all the defenders, whether it be Bam, whether it be Iggy, whether it be Jimmy, whether it be Jay. They have just so many strong dog bodies on that team that can prevent Giannis from getting a full head of steam and getting downhill. So a good matchup for them. If the Bucks could get out of this series, then I'm confident we'll be like, okay, real deal. You know, I know they're still a favorite in the series because it's the Bucks and they were on course to win 66 games throughout the regular season. But this is going to be a tough matchup for them, as you saw in Game 1. The last thing I want to ramble about are these ridiculous-ass trades that Bleacher Report puts out. Y'all know me. I work with House of Highlights, which is owned by Bleacher Report. So, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this because these are lightly co-workers. We work under the same brand. But some of the trades that these freaking things that they be making up, I'm like, bro, who allows you to write this article? Why did your editor think that this was a good article? You know what I'm saying? Some of the trades that they come up with, you like, bro, why the heck? Listen to this trade. Next one. Okay, I'm going to go to the one that's related to the Bulls. You know, it's kind of what we do. The Bulls receive Chris Paul, the number 25 pick, and the number 51 pick in this year's draft. The Warriors receive Thaddeus Young, Tomas Satoransky, and Mike Muscala, and OKC gets Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins. So essentially, my Chicago Bulls will be trading Zach LaVine, our up-and-coming star player, you know what I'm saying, who hasn't been able to really show the world what he really got just yet. We'll be trading Thaddeus Young and Tomas Satoransky, those 3 players, for 34-year-old Chris Paul, a first-round pick that's the 25th pick, and the 51st pick. And again, I just showed you those cards. I'm the biggest Chris Paul fan in the world right now. Have been for a while. But what? What the hell do we get out of getting the age of Chris Paul? Oh, we going to make the playoffs next season? Cool. Now what? We got $44 million into Chris Paul in 2021 free agency class coming in. What the heck are we going to do? Chris Paul's going to be taking up 35% of our cap? For what? Why? Why would we do this? Why would anybody in this deal do this? Other than OKC would do this in a heartbeat, right? You get Zach LaVine, and though Wiggs' contract is pretty big, I saw a video of him shooting in the gym. And every offseason, Wiggins puts up the same video, and we like, yo, there's that Wiggs that we thought we were gonna get. And this is not the only one that's bad in these articles. I have continuously seen things where like the Bulls trade away Zach. This is a real life trade that I saw before, and this is on Bleacher Report. It wasn't just some dude on Twitter that made this up. Zach LaVine, Laurie Marketing, Wendell Carter in the 4th overall pick with Kobe White for Joel Embiid. The Bulls go all in for Joel Embiid. Hell yeah, we went all in. That's 5 players. That's our whole core. That's the whole core of our team. Oh, you know what? It wasn't even for Joel Embiid. It's for Ben Simmons. That's the whole core. We're going to have Ben Simmons running out there with Chandler Hutchison, Cristiano Felicio, and they're going to be like, oh, why did they do that deal? I just don't understand it. Like, I love reading trade articles, but they have to be like something that both teams would consider. You can't just... Anyway. That has really bothered me recently, like seeing these things. And For y'all that don't know, I rebranded my KLT4Q Reacts channel to the name Kenny For Real. You looking at me like, why? I don't know. Your guess is good as mine. I don't have any plans to do anything on anything. Like, I don't have plans. I just kind of go with the flow. Like, this channel that you're watching this video on was supposed to be all non-basketball related, and it turned into a channel where I literally ramble about basketball. So maybe Kenny For Real is stuff outside of basketball, but that's the only channel where I could react to basketball. I don't know what Kenny For Real is going to turn into. I just want to record different kinds of videos, and maybe that's just the junk channel, because I have this idea for the secret art project that I think would be cool for a video. Yeah, so that's one thing. Maybe y'all could suggest some things that can go down on this channel or Kenny For Real. Why, KLT4Q, that's 2K21, baby. That's what we doing over there. I don't know what the heck else I can do on 2K21 that I didn't do on 2K20, but we'll make it work, man. 1 million is to go. But I think that's the end of the ramble. Yeah, I think that's the end of the ramble. The only problem with these is that their expiration date is super high, because the stuff that I talk about today is not that relevant in 2 days, because we'll be talking about game 3 of Boston versus the Raptors. So the expiration date on these videos are not very high. Either way, I had fun. Hopefully you did too.